I am so incredibly thrilled you're here with us today because honestly, we're going to do something really liberating. We are going to completely dismantle that intense pressure of hustle culture and this crazy myth of the massive overnight success. We're constantly sold this idea that if we just grind harder or if we can just make this one giant leap, boom, our whole life transforms. But today, we're looking at the research and some seriously timeless wisdom that prove that's just not true. We're going to explore how small, completely ordinary habits are actually the secret blueprint to building an extraordinary life. Okay, let's dive into this right away. A lot of us fundamentally believe our lives are going to change because of one huge cinematic moment, right? Like a promotion, a sudden breakthrough, or that lightning bolt burst of New Year's motivation. But if we're being really honest with ourselves, life rarely works like that. Success is absolutely not about dramatic breakthroughs. In fact, researchers estimate that a massive chunk of what we do every single day happens completely automatically. We're just repeating familiar patterns. The reality is, your future is being shaped right this very second by thousands of tiny decisions. It's those almost boring, automatic daily habits that are quietly molding exactly who you're becoming. So imagine you're standing at the very base of Mount Everest. If you spend your whole climb just staring up at that ridiculously high peak, you are going to get crushed by overwhelm, procrastination, and eventually a whole lot of guilt. Real experienced climbers don't conquer mountains by fixating on the summit. They climb by focusing entirely on the very next safe step. And you know what? Life works exactly the same way. When we obsess over the finish line, whether that's writing a whole book or hitting total financial freedom, we literally paralyze ourselves. Progress requires us to look down at our feet, take one faithful step, pause to regain our balance, and then just take another step. Now don't worry, we aren't going to let ourselves get overwhelmed today either. We're breaking this climb down into manageable camps or pillars to help protect our attention, restore our energy, and cultivate happiness. So our roadmap is pretty straightforward. First, we stop staring at the summit. Second, we master our daily attention. Third, we steward our precious energy. Fourth, we cultivate true inner joy. And finally, number 5, we figure out how to take your next faithful step. Let's move to the first major pillar and see how this all builds. Master your daily attention, which is literally the currency of modern life, because whoever or whatever controls your attention ultimately dictates the direction of your entire life. And that brings us to habit number 1, correct after the click. Listen, we can all relate to this, right? You unlock your phone just to check one quick text, and suddenly it's 20 minutes later and you're watching a mini documentary on how artisan cheese is made. It happens to the best of us. The goal here isn't flawless perfection or totally eliminating distractions, because that's impossible. It's simply about shortening the distance between getting distracted and realizing it. You interrupt the interruption, take a sip of water or a deep breath, and reset before returning. Growth is really just measured by how quickly you can bounce back to what actually matters. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly explains why we feel so exhausted. This is a fascinating psychological quirk called the Zeigarnik effect, and it ties right into habit number 2. Think of your unfinished tasks like hidden apps running in the background of your smartphone. You might not actively be looking at those unread emails or unanswered texts or decisions you've been putting off, but they are quietly and persistently draining your mental battery. They are literally chewing up your energy, even when you're trying to focus on something else entirely. So what's the actual fix for this massive mental drain? Well, you've got to create boundaries and learn to carry less weight. You do this by practicing a really simple rule. Touch a task once. Next time you open an email or look at a to-do item, make an immediate decision, right then and there. Either do it, delegate it, schedule it for a specific time, or just delete it. Every single decision you postpone takes up valuable mental real estate, but every decision you finalize creates peace, because clarity isn't about doing more, it's about intentionally carrying less. That brings us to habit 3, write to think. A lot of folks assume they need to have total clarity before they sit down to write something out, but actually writing is the exact tool that creates that clarity. Whenever your mind feels chaotic or overwhelmed, slow down and ask yourself these 3 basic questions. What do I actually know? What am I just assuming? And what is the next honest step? Writing literally forces those racing, emotional thoughts to slow down to the speed of your pen or keyboard. It exposes those hidden anxieties and brings this profound, calming clarity to a confused mind. Moving on to section 2, steward your precious energy. This is huge because we always hear about time management, but honestly, time isn't your most valuable resource. Your physical, emotional, and spiritual energy are what actually dictate what you can accomplish. And this brilliantly illustrates habit 4, which is all about how we steward that energy. We call it shrinking the starting line. See, most of us don't actually struggle with finishing things. Our real hurdle is just getting started. The true secret to small habits creating major success is making the very beginning ridiculously, almost laughably easy. Want to read more? Commit to 1 page. Get fit? Do exactly 1 push-up. You make the start so small that your brain literally can't say no to it. You end up building incredible momentum through simple movement, rather than sitting around waiting for some magical wave of motivation to hit you. Habit 5 is something we all need to hear. Respect rest. In today's hyper-connected world, people love wearing exhaustion like it's some sort of badge of honor. But let's be real. Constant fatigue just wrecks your judgment, it destroys your memory, and it totally kills your creativity. Long before modern sleep research was even a thing, ancient cultures deeply understood the natural, sacred pauses of the earth. Day always follows night. The seasons naturally shift. Rest is absolutely not laziness. It is vital renewal. Remember, a rested mind is always going to process wisdom a whole lot better than an exhausted one. Building directly on that idea of rest is habit 6, work with your rhythm. Your brain isn't a machine. It wasn't designed to just output 8 endless, uninterrupted hours of productivity every day. It actually functions in natural waves. The research clearly shows we do our absolute best work in intervals of about 60 to 90 minutes of deep focus. Once you hit that mark, you have to step away. Go for a quick walk, stretch out, stare out a window, or honestly just sit quietly. Give your brain a fighting chance to recover from the constant stimulation. Now for our third section, cultivate true inner joy. This is all about valuing perspective over your current circumstances. Happiness might come and go depending on what kind of day you're having, but true joy is built from an internal and external perspective that actually survives those really difficult seasons of life. We actively build this joy through habits 7 and 8, look up and look within. Seriously, when life starts feeling totally overwhelming, physically step outside and just look up at the sky. Reconnecting with the sheer vastness of the universe instantly shrinks our daily problems and honestly heals the soul. It reminds us that life is so much bigger than our deadlines. And then you look inward. Take a second to reflect on the absolute miracle of your mere existence. Think about your heartbeat, your breath, your complete uniqueness. That kind of internal reflection breeds deep, lasting gratitude. Contentment isn't something you find by acquiring more stuff. It's found by deeply appreciating what you've already been given. And that brings us to habit 9, which might just be the most vital one of all. Practice self-forgiveness. Why? Because inevitably, your habits are going to break. You are going to miss a workout, you'll waste an afternoon scrolling, you'll just have bad weeks. That is simply part of being human. But you really need to pay attention to the voices in your head when you do fail. Shame has this anxious, urgent whisper, telling you that you have completely ruined everything and you're back to square one. But wisdom? Wisdom has a much calmer, steadier voice. It simply whispers, begin again. So the crucial point is this: mercy has always been stronger than perfection. You can't ever allow a single mistake to become your whole identity. Think about it. The strongest, most incredibly successful people in the world aren't the ones who never stumble. Not at all. They are simply the people who absolutely refuse to stay down. They take the hit, they learn from it, they adjust, and they use that self-forgiveness as fuel to just keep moving forward. Which brings us to our final section. Take your next faithful step. This is the true architecture of an extraordinary life. It's about pulling our focus all the way back to the present moment, because these quiet, completely uncelebrated choices you make today are exactly what is building your character in private. None of the habits we've talked about today are going to make front page news, but they are the foundational architecture of your life. It's kind of like a mighty oak tree, right? You don't get that kind of growth overnight. Lasting transformation is never about a dramatic 24-hour makeover. It is always about faithful consistency over seasons. So please, whatever you do, don't try to master all 9 of these habits by tomorrow morning. Just pick one. Choose one habit and practice it until it feels like it's part of your DNA. There's that great old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And here is a piece of timeless wisdom I really want you to internalize today. Do not despise small beginnings. We are so incredibly quick to judge ourselves for starting small, aren't we? But the reality is, the absolute smallest step, taken consistently, is always going to beat out the grandest, most ambitious dream that never actually leaves your head. Momentum is born from movement, plain and simple. So I want to leave you with this final, really vital question to think about. What is your next faithful step? Not next year, not next month, but right now, today. Stop looking all the way up at the summit of the mountain. It's just too high and way too far away right now. Look down at your feet instead. Find that one single, intentionally chosen step you can take today to protect your attention, to steward your energy, or to cultivate your joy. And then take that step. Because over time, I promise you, it's those completely ordinary steps that are going to build an incredibly extraordinary life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go take that next step.